Well, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Living United with Nashua Business. This is the show where we talk with local businesses about what they're doing in our community to keep all of us who live in Greater Nashua safe, healthy, happy, and strong. Each time we air, we talk with business leaders about what they're doing, how they're growing, what businesses they're in, and equally as important, how they're giving back to the community through their business. So I'm excited today to have with me Fred Daniels. Fred is the co-owner of the Center for Physical Therapy and Exercise, CPTE for short, right here in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Yes.
Fred, welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You know what? It's great to see you. It's been a while since we've seen each other. We used to be kind of neighbors, same neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I always knew your house.
Okay.
Because when I would be driving down my street, I would see your grill, and it would have on it a big grill cover that said New York Giants.
That's true, it did.
You know, and I always told my daughter about that because she's a big Giants fan.
Oh,
so
good
if
for
we
her.
have time, we'll roll into talking about the Giants, maybe give these guys up in here in New England a little bit of a ribbing. What do you say?
I'm up all for it.
It won't help our ratings, I can tell you that.
Probably not. There'll be a few that will probably be happy to hear it.
That's so funny. So tell me about CPT. What is the Center for Physical Therapy and Exercise? What do you do? Where have you started? Where are you today? Where are you going?
Well, Center for Physical Therapy and Exercise, as you said, we're known as CPTE for many, many years. We started in 1989 with one facility on Amherst Street in Nashua. And over the years, we've built up to we now have 6 outpatient physical therapy centers. So we provide outpatient physical therapy and occupational therapy services to the communities between Nashua and Concord. And in addition, over the past 8 or 9 years, we've also been very involved in providing rehabilitation services to assisted living facilities, memory care facilities, and continuing care facilities that have both healthy individuals, but then also have the assisted living or the nursing care.
So 1989, that's 24 years? 34 years.
Almost 34
years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a while. And you've been there since the very beginning?
From the beginning, yeah.
Are you a physical therapist by training?
I am not. My background actually is in exercise science. So I have a number of certifications. I have a master's degree in exercise science. So the exercise in our name that's my part.
Yeah, sure.
In providing aids to the therapists who have exercise backgrounds, teaching them the different protocols. We have aquatic therapy. We have 2 in-house warm water therapy pools in 2 of our clinics. We also have a therapy program at the Greater Nashua YMCA. And so I help develop the aquatic therapy protocols for that. We also work with local high schools. So I help out with the athletic trainers in terms of sports conditioning.
Right.
And most recently, I've been helping to develop specific exercise programs for the senior communities that we work with.
So I want to talk a little bit more about that, the senior communities. And you mentioned you work with assisted living programs and sort of institutional type settings where you'll go on site and do work with them?
That's correct. So we provide the therapy services. So we have occupational therapists, physical therapists, even speech therapists go into those facilities and work with the residents in those communities.
What kinds of insurance do you accept for that type of work?
We pretty much cover all. I mean, all of them are on Medicare or Medicaid. And we're certified for both of those types of insurances. And then the supplementals or the additional insurances to cover the differences, we pretty much cover all of them. So for the patient and for the families that are assisting them, it's pretty easy in terms of there's not a whole lot that they have to do or worry about, just the care for their loved one.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you then is physical therapy. It's a very broad term, covers a lot of different things. And I think different physical therapists specialize in different approaches and areas. What would you say are the top areas in which you specialize?
Well, besides the aquatic therapy, which we have, as I said, in 2 of our facilities, we have therapists that are certified in dry needling, that are certified in Graston technique, and anybody who has...
So I'm going to stop you right here. What is dry needling for the uninitiated?
For the uninitiated, the simplest way to define it, it's almost like acupuncture. It's the same type of needles. And what the therapist will do is they'll take that needle and they'll slowly penetrate the muscle that is acting up. It might be spasming,
Yeah.
it might not actually be firing. And then they're able to stimulate that needle and then get that muscle to either relax and stop spasming or actually get it to ignite. So that's essentially what dry needling is, and it's been very, very effective. Especially people who have chronic pain and their muscles are constantly just kind of spasming up, and it's very uncomfortable. The Grasson technique is really a form of massage, but you're using these special tools to really help get those muscles massaged out. So those are two of the things we offer. We have two therapists that are specifically trained in an area called LSVT BIG, which is a type of Parkinson's rehabilitation so that we work with that, and we've been working with a number of communities in providing that service. We also have therapists trained in vestibular rehabilitation, and anybody who's out there that's had vertigo or other kinds of balance issues that might be related to their vestibular system. We work with audiologists that specialize in diagnosing those conditions, and then we can help them with that, as well as most of the general things such as manual therapy and sort of those things may be more specific to the older population.
Well, I was going to ask you actually, because you mentioned the older population and you mentioned Parkinson's disease and you mentioned aquatic therapy.
Right.
So I'm putting all three of those together and thinking about my father-in-law who passed away several years ago, and he had Parkinson's for many years, and this was in Germany.
Okay.
And a lot of the work that he did was aquatic therapy. It was a medium that really he gravitated to, and it really helped his quality of life. Is that something for Parkinson's that you find popular here as well?
Well, it's something that we use quite a bit. So it's certainly popular within the therapy services that we offer. Another group of individuals that have found aquatic therapy to be incredibly helpful are those people suffering from ALS, which is another neurological condition that affects the body's ability to move around. So yeah, especially the warm water, parts of each of our pools don't have a bottom so that you're just sort of hanging, decompressing, and it can be very relaxing, but it also can allow you to move a lot more than you probably can on land.
So you said you have 6 locations. What if you are looking for a specific kind of a treatment, but it's not at that specific location? Do the therapists come to you, or do you have to find one of the locations to go to?
The best answer is yes.
Yeah, both,
we work
right?
with
Okay,
the
all the
patient.
above.
If they have the ability to go directly to the facility that therapist is at, it is easier to schedule.
Okay.
Otherwise, we will make the accommodation to bring that therapist to the patient.
Okay. How about, so one of the things I hear about a lot these days is about difficulties in getting qualified workforce. Has this been a challenge for you at CPTE as well?
Certainly, a big challenge.
Okay.
One of the things that an unfortunate sort of circumstance with COVID was that a number of physical therapy schools shut down.
Oh, I wasn't
So there
aware of
weren't
that.
as many people out there going to school. Secondarily was the fact that the students couldn't go and do their internships, which are required for their degree, required for the licensure. So it slowed the whole process down, as well as all of a sudden the workforce was less. And so all of us were out there trying to get therapists, and weren't as many therapists to get. That has improved.
Oh,
We still
that's
have a
good
lot
to
of
hear.
openings, but we're starting to get more therapists available for us to interview and hopefully join our group.
So if somebody was watching and they were looking for a career in exercise physical therapy, what sort of openings do you have?
We have openings for physical therapists, physical therapy assistants, occupational therapists, exercise specialists are the primary areas that we could really, really use some good qualified individuals that love to do what they do, take good care of the people they work with.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a very rewarding career for the right person.
It really can be. And whether you like working with the older adult, we certainly have, as I said, a very robust senior therapy services. If you like working with athletes, as I said, we work with area high schools. If you like working with with women, especially women that are in the childbearing years, we have programs available for individuals that are, women that are pregnant and but they're having back pain, and they might have other concerns or issues that pregnancy may create. And so we have those kinds of therapists who like to work with that population, as well as children.
Do people just walk in the door, or do you have is mostly by referral from, say, a primary care doctor?
A little bit of everything.
Okay.
And
I say that because I'm a little naive, but I can't.
Sure.
I wouldn't. I personally would not have thought to go to physical therapy without having been actually sent there by my primary care.
And more often than not, someone has some ache or pain, or they hurt themselves. They'll go see their doctor, and if the doctor recommends physical therapy, some doctors might give the patient a list of the different physical therapy centers. There might be a doctor who's been really pleased with our care and might suggest that they consider us. A lot of times the patients will be told they need physical therapy. They may have seen our sign on the streets as they've driven by and say, hey, let me check them out. Or they may know somebody. A lot of our new patients are either former patients that come back, family members, co-workers, or somebody that they saw at a soccer game and they were just talking about how happy they were with us, and that tends to bring them in. The other thing that we do that can help a lot of people, because going to the doctor is sometimes not the easiest thing to do, or is it something that someone may not really want to do and dealing with insurance, we provide free injury screenings to anybody at all of our clinics. So they can call us up and say, look, I have some pain, I don't know what to do about it. And they can come in for 30 minutes with one of our licensed physical therapists or occupational therapists, depending on what their issue is. And they'll do a 30-minute screening, tell that person exactly what they think is going on and what they think the best way to deal with that particular issue and what options they have. If they do want to go see their doctor after that, the therapist will write a note explaining what he or she did and what their recommendations are, and the patient can, or the individual could take it to their doctor. And we get a lot of patients coming in that way.
That's really great to know about. And so you don't have to go to the doctor. You could come to you first. And you might end up going to the doctor and coming back. But
Right, or if you have an insurance that doesn't require a referral in order to have physical therapy, then you can start right up.
Or if you have terrible insurance like I do and it doesn't pay for anything anyway.
Pay for it out of your own pocket? Yeah, sure. There's that option too.
That's right. That's always an option. Pull out your checkbook.
Exactly.
What is the difference between, and I hear these terms all the time, and I think they're used incorrectly and interchangeably. Physical therapy, occupational therapy. What's the difference?
The primary difference is that occupational therapists, their area of focus is really, their areas of focus are really two. One is they tend to work with the extremities, primarily from the shoulder down to the fingers. The other thing that they are very well trained in is dealing with activities of daily living and how a person can cope with any challenges, especially when it comes to pain or lack of mobility in trying to dress themselves, trying to eat or make food, taking a shower, things of that nature. And so our occupational therapists will help them either with special devices that allow them to do those things more easily. They'll go to the person's homes and actually go through and do a whole safety assessment of the home, as well as what things that person might benefit from in terms of assistive devices in order for them to get through their day safely and efficiently.
Versus physical therapy?
Physical therapists pretty much deal with the whole body, though pretty much from the elbow down, and I know there's some therapists out there that will cringe at this and challenge me, but they don't have as much training expertise in working with, the wrist, working with the hands as an occupational therapist would have. So
I guess back to, the situation I mentioned with my father with Parkinson's, my father-in-law with Parkinson's disease, he was having in his later years a hard time eating, manipulating food, fork, knife, spoon. That's something that an occupational therapist would work with.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is really good. I had no idea. I always thought occupational therapists, I kind of grabbed the term occupation. I think, well, that's something for work.
Right.
But it's really just activities of daily living.
Correct.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for that explanation. I've learned something here. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I wanted to mention on the show is, of course, by way of thank you, is CPTE. You're great partners of us at United Way. You've supported us with a number of different ways. You've been at our cornhole tournament with a team. You've also participated in Over the Edge.
Yes.
John Dara is a big friend of ours, and does a lot of that, and so we appreciate that. But I did want to ask, what are some of the other ways in which CPT you find yourself giving back to the community beyond sort of the domain of the business?
What we try to do is see if there are any specific employees that might have a particular area of interest. There might be a particular organization that they really want to help service. Besides United Way, we've done a fair amount with the Nashua Children's Home in terms of providing them with the things they need. And we also work with the Front Door Agency in terms of helping them, especially with their food pantry. We like to help, with sponsorships and volunteer activities with other maybe nonprofit organizations, such as Peacock Players, for instance, in terms of going and helping build sets or help, find props and uniform or costumes for them. We do Toys for Tots every year, so we always have the big baskets out. We used to do penny pickers for a long time and have the big buckets out of all of our
Of course, that was Front Door Agency.
And that was Front Door Agency back in, a little while back. And we really encourage, if any of our employees want to take part of a day or a full day off to do community service, your United Way Day of Giving is one that many of our employees have done. They're allowed to do that, and it doesn't go against their time off, provided we can provide coverage for that, which we usually are able to do. And those are really the main things. We also go to a lot of the different races in the community, and we'll bring our therapy tent. We'll bring our therapists who will do post-race massages, stretching, injury screenings.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And we provide that for free. In fact, we'll actually provide them with the race groups with a sponsorship to do that, but then we can come in and actually help out the participants that are there.
That's really terrific. I can imagine that that has tremendous benefits for you as a business as well. That I know, the statistics are pretty sound that when businesses give back, their employees really appreciate that. And they tend to stay around. They tend to be attracted to those types of businesses that care about their community. Well, do you see that actually playing out? Yeah,
we actually do. We do. We find that more and more employees are saying, hey, I have a good friend. He was dealing with this particular, let's say, with lung cancer or a pulmonary disease, and we've decided we want to contribute to this organization that supports that, and we would always want to assist with that, and help out with those kinds of things. And then other employees see that, and they're saying, hey, one, I want to help, but two, if I'm aware of something that means something special to me, I'd like to bring it forward. And we always acknowledge those organizations when we have staff meetings. We acknowledge those employees that get involved with that so others can see what they're doing. And it does have a positive effect.
So it's the right thing to do, and it's good business.
Correct.
Well, what kind of a terrific win-win is that,
That's
right?
Nothing better than a happy employee. And this is one of those little things we can do that adds to that. It creates more of that family atmosphere, which we try very hard to have within the culture of our own, work community. Yeah,
absolutely. So tell me, Fred, what's next for CPT? What can I imagine that we're going to see, say, 10 years down the road when you hit your 50th anniversary?
Well,
11 years.
11 years. I'd like to think that we're still thriving, that we're still growing. I mean, we're still in an expansion mode right now, both on the senior services side, but also in terms of outpatient. So I'd like to think we'll be bigger. I'd like to think that some of the programs we've created, especially within our senior therapy services, we're trying to take the programs we've created and actually create what is called a playbook so we can take it from one to the next.
Okay.
Hopefully that will continue to grow as more of these facilities like what they see from us. So I just hope we're going to be bigger, and but still have the same family atmosphere, still have the same quality of care that we have now, and that the three original owners, tried to create from day one. And hopefully in 11 years we won't be there. We will have retired.
Well, I hope that that's true for you. That seems like that's a good goal. Do you see yourself growing to more of a statewide presence, a larger region, or just more in this area?
On the outpatient side, we've pretty much stayed within the boundaries of New Hampshire. There's still a lot going on. We have a program with Eversource that so we have a small staff that actually up in the North Country that live in the Conway, North Conway area. And so we're considering maybe expanding that and actually having a clinic up there as well. So I think we're going to stay pretty much within New Hampshire for that. Our senior services, we've already branched into Massachusetts. And the gentleman that runs that program has big eyes.
Are there a lot of cross-border licensing type issues that go along with that, or?
There are. Yes, there are.
Yeah.
You have to be licensed in Massachusetts to practice there. Same thing in New Hampshire. They don't have real good reciprocity.
Right.
So we just hire people from Massachusetts for those facilities. They have different rules for certain things. So we're learning.
Yeah. What would you say are the biggest challenges that you're currently facing?
I think the biggest challenge, besides getting staff, is two things. One is, as we get bigger, not to lose the care that we provide and our management provides to our employees, making sure that we are taking care of our staff, taking care of ourselves with that, continuing hopefully with that family environment that we think has been successful. But also, as you get bigger, you want to make sure that you're still able to maintain the quality of care, but also the billing and the accounts receivable and all that type of stuff, as well as the management. Do we have enough managers who can take care of their facilities, take care of their centers adequately, efficiently, and effectively?
So I know right now they're looking at more or less making permanent expanded Medicaid in the state. If not permanent, at least extending it for a number of years. I imagine that that's probably a good thing for people who are seeking physical therapy or need physical therapy.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If they can't really afford a standard insurance, they certainly it would be difficult probably for them to afford to pay out of their pocket.
Yeah.
This gives them the opportunity. And a lot of the people that are on Medicaid, they're working and they want to continue to work. And if they're hurt, whether they hurt themselves at work or hurt themselves at home, that might affect their ability to work. And they don't want that. They want to be able to work as much as possible. So we do everything we can to help them do that.
So it gets people back into the workforce very quickly so that they can be, continue being productive like they would want to.
Correct.
Like we all want to be, I suppose.
Exactly.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And so I guess we're going to end on, my last question is, what's with the Giants this year? Are you going all the way?
I don't know if we're quite there yet. I have to honestly say, from what I've read and talking to other Giants fans, for the most part, we're pleased with the draft. We think they've got some help. We'll see if they can get a couple of free agents. My fingers are crossed that Daniel Jones is the real thing. He looked good last year.
He started good, and then it sort of did what the Giants. My dad always said. My dad was a huge Giants fan for his whole life, and he said, this team, they have a lot of creative ways to lose a football game.
Oh yeah, we used to say that a lot, and then every once in a while they'd surprise us, like those 2 Super Bowls against the Patriots.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden shocked us and shocked the world that they.
Well, my daughter, who I mentioned, is also she was always Grandpa's girl. She was a Giants fan, and she was I think it was sophomore the first year and a senior the second time that they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl here at Nashua North. And she put on her jersey and went off to school. And I said, "Young lady, you are brave, very brave,
very, very brave." Yes,
but she loved it.
Yeah. Now, my oldest son, who was also at North at the time of the second one, essentially said, "Dad, I got to root for the Patriots." And I said, "That's okay. Just I hope you're okay being disappointed." And he looked at me after the game was over and said, "Oh."
Well, if things don't work out for Aaron Rodgers on, in the city, maybe he'll come out to the swamp as well.
Who knows? Yeah. I think it's going to be exciting to see. It's a young team. They've got a really good coach. I think they've put some good pieces in place, and hopefully they'll be competitive. But the Eagles are going to be tough.
Well, you have the hearty enthusiasm of a Giants fan who's been around it a couple of years, so I appreciate that.
Hopeful, but not keeping your expectations modest.
Yeah, well, I happen to be a 49ers fan, and so I've been experiencing more or less of a drought also for about the past 20 years. So, and they always have like glimmers of greatness, but overshadowed by years of drought. So it's all right.
Yeah, you get used to it after a while.
You do, but I think the Giants fans, the Pats fans I know they're not. There's a lot of young people who don't understand that it might be a long time until they see what they saw. It might never happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I remember those early days with the Patriots where they just were not very good when we first moved up here.
Yeah.
You could get season tickets for next to nothing.
I sat in a game years ago in Foxborough Stadium, the old Foxborough Stadium, in a January game. It was just horrible weather. It was against the old Baltimore Colts.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, I feel like it was me and my wife and my in-laws and about like 6 other people in the stadium, and it was just such bad football. Anyway, look, Fred, I appreciate everything that CPTE does for our community.
Thank you.
And I do congratulate you on your success and your growth, and can't wait to see what direction things go here from now.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. We're very excited and look forward to eventually passing the baton on to others in the company to take it over and keep it going. So it's an exciting time.
That's fantastic. Maybe a subject for another day.
Maybe a subject for another day. Have somebody else sitting in this chair.
Let's
talk about what's the next step?
There you go.
Next chapter in our legacy.
Fantastic. Well, this is for you.
Oh,
I did
excellent.
bring you
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I will wear it proudly.
We do appreciate again everything you do for us.
Well, thank you.
You mentioned the children's home, the front door agency, all great partners of ours. So thank you.
Excellent.
So, look, this has been another episode of the United Way, Living United with Nashua Business show. We hope you've appreciated that, and we also would encourage you to check out CPTE online, and if you're ever in need of services, and thank them for the work they do in our community. Until next time, I'm asking you, please remember to live united, because great things really do happen when we live united.